Year 2075. I'm standing in a large lecture hall. Hundreds of students are sitting in front of me. They call me professor. They think I'm a very intelligent person. But there's a truth that very few people know. The person who taught me the greatest lesson in my life was a woman who couldn't read. That woman is my mother. My mother was born into a very poor family. When she was young, she never went to school. Her life was tied to the fields and long, exhausting days of labor. In her village, education was considered a luxury. What mattered most was having enough rice to survive. She grew up in that reality. She couldn't read. She couldn't write, but she believed in one thing. Her child would have a different life. My childhood was simple. Our house was small and old. The tin roof would rattle whenever it rained. My mother worked from early morning until late at night. She sold vegetables at the market. Some days, she woke up at 4 a.m. By the time I opened my eyes, she was already gone. But on the table, there was always a warm bowl of rice and a small piece of paper with messy handwriting that said, "Eat, my child." It was the only sentence she knew how to write. On my first day of school, my mother held my hand tightly. She stood at the gate, looking around in quiet confusion. To her, the school felt like another world. When the teacher handed out textbooks, my mother picked one up. She looked at the printed words, but she couldn't read them. She gently touched the pages and said, "Study hard." In the years that followed, she worked even harder. She took extra jobs at night, sometimes cleaning a small restaurant. Whenever I asked why she worked so much, she would just smile. "Tuition doesn't pay itself," she said. Even when she came home late, she always asked me one question: "What did you learn today?" As a child, I didn't understand her. I was even ashamed that my mother couldn't read. One day, at a school meeting, parents were asked to sign their names. My mother held the pen for a long time. Then, she drew a small circle. That night, I complained. I asked why she never learned to read. She didn't answer right away. After a long silence, she spoke softly. "I never had the chance. I want you to have it." At the time, those words felt simple, but years later, I realized they were the deepest words she ever said. I began to study harder. Every time I felt like giving up, I thought of her, a woman waking up before sunrise, just to sell vegetables, a woman who couldn't read, but still asked about my lessons every day. She couldn't help with my homework, but she always sat beside me, just to make sure I didn't quit. Years later, I received a scholarship to university. When she heard the news, she didn't speak immediately. She just stood still, then wiped her tears. It was the first time I saw her cry from happiness. She said, "If your father were here, he would be proud." My life changed after that. I kept studying, researching, teaching. Eventually, I became a professor. People think it's because of intelligence or hard work, but I know the truth. Without her, I would not be here. On the day I received my PhD, my mother was there. She wore a simple, traditional dress. After the ceremony, I handed her my degree. She held it in her hands. She looked at it for a long time, but she couldn't read a single word. Then she asked me, "Are you happy?" I told her yes, but my greatest joy is being her child. She smiled, the same smile from my childhood. Simple, warm. My mother never taught me through books. She taught me through her life, through patience, through sacrifice, through belief. That education can change destiny. Now, when I stand in front of my students, I always think of her, a woman who never sat in a classroom, but raised a professor. And I understand something. Knowledge doesn't only come from school. Sometimes it comes from a mother's love. If your parents sacrificed for your education, never forget that. Behind every diploma, there are unseen drops of sweat. Behind every success, there are silent sacrifices. Today, my mother still cannot read, but every time she looks at me, she smiles with pride. And I know this, the woman who couldn't read is the greatest book life ever gave me.
If this story touched your heart, take a moment today. Call your father or your mother. Tell them something simple. Just say, "I love you." Because one day, we may realize that the people who built our future were quietly standing behind us all along. And if you believe stories like this matter, please subscribe to this channel, because here we tell the stories that remind us what truly matters in life. Thank you for watching.